Hello and welcome back to another episode of Tea with Kimberly. I'm your host, Kimberly Wilson of Tranquility du Jour, and I want to share a few more of my 15 self-care tips or healthy habits for every day. So in the past few videos, we've looked at a variety of things, the first 8 that really hone in on mostly things that you're doing every day. And so the idea is how can we do them in a way that actually gives us a bit of tranquility, right? Versus feeling like another to do, like sleeping, exercise, bathing, eating, things along those lines. All right. So now we're going to move into the next 4, which are goal review, AM and PM rituals, digital downtime, and creative play. Okay, so let's start with goal review. Now, the reason I have goal review featured is because we set these beautiful goals at the beginning of the year. Sometimes they are even set at the beginning of a month, right? And yet, how often do we go back and look at them? At the beginning of the year, I'll usually set like my whole year's goals, and then I will even break it down into quarters. And then I have to remind myself, go look at those, look at your monthly goals, right? How are they aligning with the way you're living your life and spending your time? So that's why I have goal review as a daily, if possible, review and way to make this a healthy habit. This is a healthy habit, but incorporate it into your life, into your day. Goal review. And of course, we have to be first writing those goals, but make sure you have them in a place where you're going to see them regularly. Like looking over here, I've got them in my planner. I also have them in Evernote, and then I'll go to that folder, which is, or notebook, it's what that's called in Evernote, and it's just labeled 2022, right? Which is this year. And then I'll break it down by quarter. And then I have little check boxes that I check off. And same thing, because I'm a paper girl. So I also like to do that in my day book. So for you, what would be helpful as you think about what were your big picture goals? How are those playing into your days? Are they still relevant, or do you want to make some changes? The next one is AM and PM rituals. So without it being, again, something that you have to add more to your to-do list, because I really don't want to do that as I'm encouraging these 15 healthy habits, but is to think about how can I start my day with intentionality? So maybe it's your cup of tea, it's your time in your journal, it's your gratitude practice, it's love reading, right? Love learning. Maybe you're watching YouTube videos that are educational or inspirational. You're listening to podcasts. Like, what would be a fun, nurturing way to start your day? And then you have a few things, and that is your AM ritual. Mine revolve around my special needs pugs, my cup of tea, of course, oftentimes a little dash of journaling, sometimes a little meditation, sometimes a soak in the tub. But really, it's all about like making sure my needs are met immediately with my cup of tea and that my pug's needs are met because they're very demanding. So for you, what is it? Now, PM, just as important as AM, is how you wind down your day, especially if you want to have that restful sleep that I talked about in a previous episode. So an evening ritual, for many people is reading, right? Reading in bed, having a cup of tea, soaking in the tub, maybe a call or a time to connect with a loved one. So whatever it might be that just allows you to, exhale as you wind down and end your day in a way that is going to set you up for success with regard to your sleep. All right, so digital downtime. Now, I used to encourage a digital day off. So if you look at the day book, and I'm touching mine right here, it will have digital day off in the weekly checklist, right? However, since I put this out, I've really noticed that it's so hard for people to disconnect for an entire day. So that's why I've changed it to digital downtime. So for you, it may be an hour without your phone, right? For others, it may be half a day or it may be a full day. But just making sure that you have some time and space to pull away from the constant connection, whether or not it's checking the news, right? It's scrolling through social media. It's on Zoom. It's like, how can you just make sure you've got a little bit of time away from the digital world? And it also allows your mind to just reset, go into analog mode, read a real book. It's like things that get out in nature, things along those lines that just allow you to disconnect to connect within. And then the last piece I want to mention before I go into my last three and some tips on how to actually make these happen in the next episode is creative play. So creative play, I'm looking over here. I've got my little artist kind of toolkit, right? So in here, I have washi tape, of course, glue stick, because I like to do a lot of collaging, some paint, markers. So things along those lines, and just in this cute little bag, right? So it travels easily. And so that is something that I find to be quite helpful so that I can always have creative time, kind of spur of the moment. But creative play could also be playing with your child, going on a fun, playful walk with your dog. It could be sketching. It could be jewelry making. It could be cooking. It could be gardening, baking, etc. So anything that just taps into and nourishes your creative spirit. It could be writing, of course, like a blog post or producing a podcast or, writing the caption for your social media or writing a love note to a friend. So these are all ways for us to engage in creative play. There's no right or wrong, but I will say that tapping into our creative spark, and you're all creative, I promise you, but tapping into that spark is so, so important. Really, I feel like to feel, as fulfilled as possible. I find that if I am not creating regularly, I start to wither like a little flower that gets no sunshine, no water, and so for you, what would be something that would be creative? And I will say one other piece with creative play, because again, don't want to add more to your to-do list, is getting dressed in the morning. So your signature style can also be creative play. So think about things that you're already doing and how can those be done in a more creative way. All right, so I hope these four were helpful, and tune into the next episode where we will dive into the last three plus some tools to actually make them happen. And be sure to check down below to download the little downloadable that gives you a one-page PDF so you can track these throughout a week and see how it does, see how you feel, see if it makes a difference. All right, thanks for tuning in.